All right. Let's name these structures. Now, first of all, before you start learning how to name, first of all, you gotta follow some basic principle. Now, if there is no functional group in the structure, okay, now you are taking reference to first of all the longest carbon chain, which would be the parent chain. Then you look at the branches. Now the branches, you are taking reference to the least alphabet in the branches. Now let's take a look at something like this. Now, this is butane, having a branch here chlorine, having a branch here bromine. Now, how do you name this compound? Simply, first of all, find or note the longest carbon chain at which you will name to. Now, we have this to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this is the only carbon, so this should be the longest chain, and this should be butane. Butane. Now, how do you name it? How you name this? This is not the name of this compound is not actually butane because we already have a branch and a branch. Okay. So now, first of all, I just said the parent chain should be noted. Secondly, you look at the branches. Now you take reference to the least alphabet. Now, this is chlorine. This is chlorine and that's bromine. Which of these has the least alphabet? The chlorine, bromine. Bromine, which have B, should be the least. Now we have A, B, C. A, B, C. So now this is the lowest. So we are taking reference to this. Now, what do you mean? What do we mean by that? If we name this compound like this, if we name this compound like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, it should be of a different name. I'm naming the compound like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. How do you know if you should follow like this or like this in compounds like this? First of all, look at this. We have chlorine, which is 1 carbon to it, to this carbon, which is this one 1 carbon to this. Now you don't just follow that step, you note the branches. This is bromine, which has the least number B. This is chlorine, has C. So we're naming like this because this bromine, this carbon holding the bromine is closer to this side. We have just 1 carbon to this. And we come from this side, we have 2 carbons to this. So we're naming like this, not like this. So now we have to build out the structure. We have C, for a name. This is how you name it. You name it 1, 2, 3, 4. So how do you name it now? How do you name this now? We're naming bromine first before chlorine. So bromine is at the second carbon in this parent chain, the second carbon. So we name this, first of all, the halogens come with a different name when naming compound. Now we have bromine to be called bromo when naming organic compound. We have chlorine to be called chloro. We have iodine to be called iodo for all halogens. We have fluorine to be called fluoro, and so on and so on. Okay, so now how do we name this? since we have bromine B before C, we name it 2-bromo. 2-bromo. Then we go to the next, which is chlorine. It's at the third carbon. We name it 3-chloro. Now there's no other functional group. So we have it 2-bromo, 3-chloro, butane. Now it is called butane because we have just one double bond, a single bond everywhere. So this is a butane molecule. Now let's take a look at this compound we have here. So we have the first one there, to be C. Let's do it here. CH3, CH2, CH3, then CH3. Now let's look at this. We have it to be okay. First of all, let's find the longest carbon chain here. Now we have a branch here, CH3, which is methyl. Methyl, or the alkyl. I didn't name that. I didn't add it. The alkyl, it differs from the alkane. This is alkyl. Now alkyl are molecules that has lost one hydrogen atom from the alkane. Lost one hydrogen atom from the alkane. Now this is this CnH2n plus 2. This is for the alkane. Now minus 1 again, and this should give us the alkyl. Now let's take a look at methane. So we have C1H2 into 1 plus 2 minus 1. So we have CH2 plus 2 minus 1. So we have 2 plus 2, 4 minus 1. We have CH3. CH3. So now this is CH3. This is from the alkyl group. So this is called methyl and not methane. Methane. It's called methyl and not methane. That's for CH3. Methane is CH4. Okay. So now let's look for the longest carbon chain. Now if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 4. Let's count 1, 2, 3. It is low. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4. Now naming it like this or naming it like this, it will give us the same name. Alright, let's check it. Let's try it. We have it to be now. Let's name it like this. Let's name it like this for the straight chain first. Let's name it like this. We have it to be, since this is the branch, we have how many carbons to this one? We have, from the left side we have 1, 2. So we have 2 carbons. So from this other side we have 1. So we are naming like this and not like it because this constituent, this branch is closer to this part than this part. So we're naming like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So how do we name this? We name this as 1, 2, 2 methyl, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no other functional group, or there's no other branch. So we have it to be 2-methyl-butane. 2-methyl-butane. Now I just said naming it like this, naming it like this, or naming it like this, or naming it like this, or naming it like this is the same thing, because we have 4 carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 carbons. So name it like this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have this one to be the branch here. So now let's rename it like this. Let's name it like this. We have it to be naming it like this. Since we have 1, 2, we have 2 carbons to this branch. We have one carbon to this branch. We'll name it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have, so if we want to name it, we'll name this. So we have 2 methyl, which is this CH3, then butane. So naming it like this or like this, since they are the same number of carbon, meaning the longest carbon chain, they are all same, you can name it in either way. Alright, so now let's take a look at this other one. Let's take a look at this other one. We have CH3, CH3, CH, Cl, now this, how do we name this? Now first of all, let's count the longest carbon chain. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So naming 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So naming it like this or like this is the same thing. So let's use this straight chain. Okay, so now we are naming it. So we have a functional group here. We have a methyl, then we have another methyl, which is the same, and then we have chloro. Okay, so what should we make preference to? We're making preference to the side that has between M and C, which is least. We have it to be C, so we are taking preference to the chlorine. So now let's count from the left side. We have 1, 2, 2 carbons to this carbon having the Cl. We have 1, 2, 3 carbons to this having the Cl. So I'm naming it like this because we have the least number of carbons, then we have more number of carbons. Okay, so now how do we name this? We name this as that's 6. We name this as 3-chloro. 3-chloro. So we have a methyl. Here. So the methyl, we have it to be at 2. We have it to be at 2 and also at 4. So we name it 2,4-dimethyl. Why is it di? Because it is 2. So we have di. When you say a dielectric cell, so we have it to be twice, double. So if it was 3-methyl, it would be tri. So we have it to be 3-chloro, 2,4-dimethyl, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to be hexane. Alright, this should be the name of this compound. Now let's take a look at this other one. So if we have this compound, let's restructure it up here. So if we have this structure here, now we can literally bring it out. Then we have something like this. Sorry. We have something like this. We have a C, hydrogen, 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 then a bromine, then C, hydrogen, and chlorine, and C, this, and C. Okay, so we can either leave it like this, name it like this, or we can name it like this, anyhow you want it to be. Okay, so now first of all you should note this, that every carbon atom should be bonded to just 4 groups. Now if you observe, I cleaned 3 away from here. Now this carbon should be bonded to 4. So look at this, we have 1 bond, 2, 3. Then this last hydrogen should be another bond, that is 4. So the maximum number of bonds a carbon atom should have should be 4. So we have another one. This carbon is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why there's no hydrogen here. There's no hydrogen here. Now we have 1, 2, 3. So it's supposed to be 4. That's why hydrogen is here. Okay. So now, when you see a compound that has CH3, then it has a double bond, then this, quickly watch that this carbon is already bonded to 3, so it's supposed to be 1 and not 2. So that compound is not correct. So you look for the next option. You get what I'm saying? All right. So now let's name this. First of all, we have bromine, fluorine, bromine. We have bromine, fluorine, methyl, chlorine, iodine. All right, these are 4 different groups. Okay, so now how do we name this? Now first of all, we look for the longest carbon chain. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that's 5, or we can name it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyhow, so we are using this straight chain. Now how do we name this again? How do we check on this? How to name if it's on the left side or the right side? Now first of all, between bromine, fluorine, methyl, chlorine, and iodine, which one has the least alphabet? It should be bromine. Okay, so now bromine is the least. There's no carbon before it, so you are supposed to be counting from here, because this is another bromine. We have to be here. Now this side is the least, because there's no other carbon from this side before it. So if you come from this side, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4 to this one. So it is long. Okay. So now how do we name? We name from this side. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So now how do we name this compound? Let's name this compound. We have bromine here, we have bromine here. So this is bromine at carbon 1, bromine at carbon 2. So we have 1, 2 dibromo. We're not done naming. There are other constituents. After bromine, which is the least, is it fluorine, methyl, or chlorine? It should be chlorine, because after a B we have C. So we have chlorine to be at carbon 3, then we have 3 chloro. Then we are still naming, comma. Then we have fluorine, methyl, and iodine. So which of these we should do? It should be fluorine, because we have A, B, C, D, E, F before seeing M and I. So we have it to be fluorine, to be 1 fluoro, comma. Then between M and I, which comes first? It should be I. So we have comma 4 iodo, then we have methyl 1, then 2, and this methyl has carbon 2, this methyl has carbon 4, so it should be 2 4 dimethyl. How many carbon we have at the long chain? 5, so it should be pentane. So you should go learn from the beginning of the video. I did all the alkane, and alkyne. So you should know the names for from the first member down to the 10th member, or the first member down to the 20th member, like the methane, the ethane, the propane, the butane, the pentane, hexane, heptane, octane, nonane, and decane, then the undecane, the duodecane, and so on. So you should cram them in case you have a longer parent chain. Then you should know the name of that compound. Now this is the name of this compound. Okay, so now let's take a look at this one. This one is a bit simple though. We have CH, now let's name this. We have Cl, okay, so now let's name this. We have chlorine at the first carbon, chlorine at the first carbon from this side, then from this side phosphorus carbon. So you can name it either way, either you name it like this or like this. So we have 1 2. Now let's name this. Chlorine and chlorine, they are all same, so we name it 1 1. Then at carbon 2 we have 2 chlorine, so 1 1 1 1 2 2 2 2 tetra chloro. So we have it to be 2 carbons, which are chloroethane. Okay, so now strictly we're going to be discussing about the carbons or the structure with the cyclic. We have something like this. This is not a benzene structure. We have something like this. And so on. So now we're going to be dealing on this compound and how to name them with their functional groups attached to them. All right.